All right, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. This is an educational channel, and we take a look at great theories of everything ancient and modern, and try to help you to figure out how to use these things in your own life, especially for your paradigm shifting, your awakening to 5D consciousness, and your formation of a holistic worldview. Today is our 13th video that we've done on Daniel Ingram and his book called Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha. And this is kind of like a reference work, all things related to Buddhist meditation or just Buddhism in general, but in particular kind of a geeky expose of everything that you could possibly need to know about the jhanas, the insight stages, the maps of consciousness, and the techniques that you need in order to awaken and relieve yourself of suffering. And this is all part of what I call the Reciprocal Church playlist that we're trying to use some syncretism here and gin up a sustainable, workable religious mindset for the West, borrowing some Eastern techniques and certainly maybe learning a little bit more tolerance and some humility. I'm hearing a lot of the Christian right talking about how theirs is the correct religion. Well, I have to beg to differ, and I will prove that on this channel, that the New Testament is an obvious Roman psyop. It was obviously written by the Romans in order to, and it can be proven because they left a signature, literally left their signature. Vespasian, Emperor Vespasian, his son Titus, they were the architects of this psyop in the late 70s AD, just after the war with the Jews. And they were tired of the Jews. Both of them had actually even been injured in that war, as at that time they were the generals. They became the emperors. But they proposed the Prince of Peace, the one who believes in rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's, the one who believes in walking an extra mile with the Roman soldiers' pack on our back, believes in the promotion of poverty, and even Roman slavery. All these things are approved of by Jesus in the Gospels, and they all are evidence of a psyop by the Romans. But the evidence is much, much, much more overwhelming than that. We're going to go through that when we do go through the book. We're going to go in particular over the books of Luke, the book of Revelation, and some of Paul's epistles, and we are going to be able to show conclusively that they were written by the Romans. Now, this does not negate what I would call the intuitive Christianity, or even the scientific Christianity, that actually rejected many of those aspects of Christianity, such as you know, family values. Jesus was not into family values. He does say respect your parents, but when I believe it was Simon and Andrew were being recruited by Jesus and decided to follow him, Jesus didn't even give them the time to say goodbye to their father. He just tells them to just don't worry about that, just ditch him. You know, so intuitively, Christians have been able to mark out a course that has enabled them to put together Christian values that are valuable and that are, I think, ethically honorable. I would say in spite of Jesus's doctrine in many cases. So we're not trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we are trying to glean a little bit of reality involved. A lot of the Christian right prides themselves on being diggers, you know, anons and autists. But they dropped the ball on this one. I hardly ever see any of them questioning their holy books. They can question all kinds of stuff from the 20th century, but they seem to be in blind allegiance to a book that they have no idea where it came from. But I do. And I'm going to demonstrate that. I'm not the first. I'm going to be putting together research from a number of different scholars. Anyway, that's why we need things like Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha and other works on shamanism, works on creative music, numerology, mantra, things that are scientific, that can be reproducible, that we can use to put together a logical and rational approach to spirituality that can help out with the holes that are left in Western religions. I haven't gotten into the Judaism part yet, but that has also been invalidated, in my opinion, and I'll be proving that also. Okay, let's try to start reading from Daniel Ingram's Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha. He is in a section where we are talking about shooting aliens, meaning that's when he's discussing insight meditation. He uses an analogy about shooting aliens. You need the kind of vigilance and hyper attention that you use for playing video games in your insight meditation. Okay, so when our mindfulness and investigation are on hair trigger, being aware of every little sensation that arises and passes, we are bound to win sooner or later. The motto, note first, ask questions later, is so helpful if we are to keep practicing precisely without getting lost in the stories. Again, off the cushion, the stories can have some value if not taken too seriously. On the cushion, take no prisoners. Note them all and let God sort them out. This is seemingly extreme, but actually very powerful and profound advice. Do not dismiss lightly the analogy of shooting aliens. Now, I also want to say that, a lot of the Christians out there and the Jews, I guess, as well, think that things like Buddhism are Satanism. Anything that's not your religion is Satanism. Well, Satan doesn't exist either. You know, just like Jesus doesn't exist. And it can be proven. But these are your experiences with Satan, with demons, and your experience with the divine, with God, are legitimate and valid. But it's your interpretation of those things that is causing you to be intolerant and inflexible, and really just untruthful, going against your truther moniker that you've adapted for yourself, but you at the same time are ignoring obvious information, historical information, and really a signature. The Romans are mocking you with your New Testament. It's a mockery. It was put together with a mean spirit. They tell you it's just like the Illuminati. It probably is the Illuminati. They're mocking you with it, and you're allowing it because you're not doing the research. Okay. Where the analogy of shooting aliens breaks down is that these aliens want attention, recognition, understanding, and acceptance. And who could blame them? They come to us so that we will welcome them clearly and openly. But if we fail to do this, they can get very troublesome. Their little alien hearts are being broken when we don't get to know them as they are. So who can blame them when they get mischievous, and try to trick us into paying more attention to them by causing trouble? Sure, it's a bit childish of them, but we don't always get to meet mature and well-adjusted aliens. And just in case you're taking this out of context a little bit, he's not talking about aliens. He's talking about our sixth sense doors, the phenomenon of our experience, our senses and our thoughts, and that they come to us, and he's saying that we analogize them with aliens, and that we shoot them just like in a video game. We shoot them by noting them. Okay, so thus, rather than killing our aliens by shooting them, we give them what they want by acknowledging, noticing, or noting them. We don't invite the pretty ones to stay with us forever, nor do we ignore the boring aliens. We don't kick out the ugly ones either. Like a politician on the campaign trail, we extend a hand to all, say hello, and then quickly do this for lots of others. When we meet them, greet them, get to know, accept, and even love them, they go away happy. I realize that I've just gone from apparently violent to apparently mushy, but somewhere in there is what insight practice is all about. We are simultaneously tearing down the illusion of a fixed and unchanging self, while really getting to know and accept ourselves as we are in any given moment. Fun stuff. This specific video game is the most exciting, intimate, relevant, and amazing one I have ever played, and I highly recommend it. For those unfamiliar with it, it's called Reality. Right, this is an investigation of reality, but some of you have decided that this is Satanism. Some of you who probably play real video games, and you think that that is not Satanist. But the video game of reality, I called it real video games. I mean, physical, um, electronic video games, whatever. I think you know what I'm saying. But the video game of actual reality is apparently paying attention to that game, playing that game is somehow satanic because you've applied the term Buddhism to it. It's really quite ignorant. And I am all in favor of your morals, your values, your even your politics, but this has got to go. And so that's I'm sure this isn't popular, but somebody's got to say it, and I haven't heard anybody saying it yet. I have heard a few people saying it. I haven't heard anybody listening, though. Heard of anybody listening. Okay, I realize that I've just gone from, okay, next paragraph. I have already mentioned many possible exercises, perspectives, and emphases that may be used when exploring our reality for the purpose of awakening. And I will continue to mention more as we go along. However, I recommend that the foundation of your practice be investigation of the three characteristics of the sensations that make up your reality. Again, those are impermanence, dissatisfactoriness, and not self. The three characteristics of the sensations that make up your reality. If you find it too complicated to try to investigate all three characteristics at once, then I recommend quick and precise investigation of impermanence. Just investigate how, this is my words, but just investigate how your sense impressions and your thoughts, they come and they go and they vanish. They come and they go. They're impermanent. Even if they seem to be oppressive or blissful or enjoyable or whatever they are, they're gone in a flash and never to return. If that seems too difficult, I have found the simple practice of noting very quickly to be more than sufficiently powerful for gaining clear and direct insights into the true nature of things. Should you find that the many instructions and avenues of inquiry I present are too confusing, remember this paragraph and stick to these simple but profound practices. When in doubt, note it out. Okay, so, that's kind of the overarching premise here, is that through insight practices, you can get your mind to work at a higher level than it currently works at, particularly faster. You can do things, you can experience and understand things way faster than, it's just like getting in shape, It's basically you're getting your mind in shape so that it operates at a higher level. And if you can figure out where the Satanism comes in to that, you can try to convince me. But, all you're doing is paying attention to your reality. It's about the most sober-minded thing that I can really think of. Okay, this section here is called energy. We diligently investigate the ultimate truth of our experience, and this can be invigorating once we get into it. Just as playing video games can be very exciting, we have lots of sensations coming in all the time that are just screaming to be understood. When we rise to this challenge, things can really begin to jump. Once we have sorted out what is mind and what is body, and have begun to see a bit of the three characteristics, this can produce lots of energy the third of the 7 factors of awakening. This can be a bit scary until we get used to how quick and powerful our minds can be. As mentioned in the 5 spiritual faculties, energy is a good thing, as it obviously fuels and invigorates our practice. We can almost always call up just a bit more energy when we need it, and this is a good thing to realize. However, being mindful and investigating diligently can also increase energy, so now you have more than one way to go about this. Thank you, 7 factors of awakening. Too much of a good thing, however, can be trouble. I personally was blessed by an abundance of natural energy, and this, coupled with periods of really pushing myself in practice, has shown me that we can go way too far into the territory of hyper-energized practice, and this can fry us. Tranquility, which will be discussed below, is the natural counterbalance to energy, and in that and subsequent sections, I will talk about how to try to balance our practice, realizing that this balance will be a moving target. If you are on the runway to crazy land from jacking the energy too high for too long, figure out how to gently settle into the things that are arising naturally on their own, rather than pouring energy into practice. Reality is constantly showing up in amazing detail, and if your mind is receptive, all that detail will reveal itself without you having to do much of anything. And that is the best kind of energy. Energy that doesn't really feel like energy but gets the job done. One of the keys to mobilizing energy is motivation. So if energy is lacking, try to remember why you are doing all of this. I personally can think of lots of reasons, but we'll focus on the major ones. 1, because you are suffering, dissatisfied, or miserable, and want to put a stop to the aspects of suffering that can be ended by skillful mental and perceptual development. 2, because you are curious about how the mind works, who you are and are not, and what you can learn to do with your mind and the like. 3, because you want to help others and so wish to transform yourself, your understanding, and your abilities for the better to make service to the world easier. 4, because challenges inspire you, as in question, why did you climb that mountain? Answer, because it was there. 5, because you can see how much better things could be if you were to transform your mind in specific ways related to practice, the flip side of the suffering coin. 6, because you want to finish what you have already started. 7, because waking up is just so totally cool. Of course, many of you already think that you're awake, so why would you need to wake up anymore? That's why they call it awakening. It's an ongoing process. All the above may figure into your, although Ingram does say things in this book, I think, that might disagree with that, but we will keep going anyway. All the above, and we'll deal with it when we get to that point. All the above may figure into your reasons for mobilizing energy in practice, and reconnecting with them when the energy is low can help. Okay, this section is called rapture. When energy comes online with mindfulness and investigation, this can produce something called rapture, which has 2 general meanings, the first of which relates to deep joy, pleasure, and enthusiasm. These are valuable spiritual qualities. Ye of dark puritanical tendencies, Take heed of this. It is much easier going on the spiritual path if we are generally enthusiastic and not overly grim about what we are doing. But that's also true. In the Bible, Jesus has absolutely no sense of humor. No sense of humor whatsoever. You can tell by living in the world, your experience in the world, that God has a sense of humor. But the Jesus portrayed by the Romans in the Gospels does not. This should be no surprise, but somehow it is often overlooked. I'm not advocating hedonistic Epicureanism here, nor particularly condemning it either, if done skillfully. But to walk the spiritual path with a sense of joy, a sense of wonder, a bit of a smile, and especially a sense of humor is good for you and everyone who must be near you. Sure, there will be hard times and difficulties that can have good lessons to teach us, but be open to the joy and happiness life can bring. Natural wonder really helps many things, including and specifically investigation. Reality is simply amazing. Our minds are amazing. The vast intricacy of what happens in each moment is truly remarkable. When you sit with amazement at what is going on, like a vast, complex, rich work of moving, fluxing art. When you walk with a sense of wonder at all the little aspects of movement, of balancing, of a body moving through the air, through a changing landscape, with all the little facets that make that up. The feel of our foot touching the floor, earth, sand, grass, moss, leaves, stones, or whatever we are walking on is simply amazing. Air is amazing. Breathing is amazing. That we think is amazing. Food is amazing. Have you really looked at a glass of water lately? When tasting, smelling, hearing, seeing, feeling, thinking, speaking, eating, and doing anything else, really tune in to how fascinating it is to perceive all these things. This natural curiosity, this enchantment with the experience of the ordinary world is total gold. Again, I'm sure there are you out there who think that that is satanic. But really, take a look at it. You are living your life. You are trying to experience reality. Practitioners who incorporate natural wonder into their practice will do much better, have a much better time, and be much more fun to be around than those who don't. Reconnect with that effortless wonder that children have about themselves and their world. If things get dark, difficult, painful, dull, lifeless, heartless, frustrating, edgy, or boring, reconnect with this meaning of the word rapture and see if you can find something amazing about every moment. You will be glad you did. Spiritual practice can also produce all kinds of odd experiences, some of which can be very intense, bizarre, and far out. This is the second common connotation of the word rapture, and these experiences are commonly referred to in this and other traditions as raptures. So when the word is in the singular rapture, this means being enraptured with your sensate world. It can also mean an upwelling of pleasant euphoria, as we will see in the section that maps concentration states. However, when I use the word in the plural, raptures, this means strange meditation side effects. Some of these experiences that I will refer to generically as raptures might be pleasant, some may be weird, and some might completely suck. All the strange physical sensations, pains, pleasures, movements, visions, lights, perception distortions, energetic phenomena, muscle tensions, etc., which may or may not show up as a result of a spiritual practice, are all just raptures. And Westerners would tend to call these things, acts of God, experiences of God. It's just a matter of terminology. It's still the same experience. You can call it of God, or you could call it of your meditation practice or your spiritual practice. It's just a matter of interpretation. It's the same experience, and neither is right or wrong. I mean, ultimately, yes, they are, coming from the divine, wherever that, however you define that. So I'm not sure exactly what the point is that I'm making, but maybe I'm just liking to rant today. Okay, repeat. They're just raptures. Don't get hung up on them or spin stories out of them, as compelling as they can be. And don't think that they are required or a mark of authenticity or spiritual superiority either. They are not. The sensations that make them up come, go, don't satisfy, and ain't you. The three characteristics there. Most are just byproducts of meditation and strong concentration. Some produce zero wisdom. Some can be disorienting and troubling. Some, of course, can provide deep insights into the truth of things. But don't get stuck on these. Many of these lessons show up once and never again. Some people can get so serious and fixated on suffering that they fight the pleasant raptures and even cling to the difficult ones. Don't do this. The joy and pleasure that may arise in meditation have wonderful healing aspects to them and can lead to deep tranquility, concentration, and equanimity, which are all good things that support further practice. On the other hand, you don't want to cling to pleasant states either, as you will get stuck and be frustrated when they end, which they always do. In general, if you try to fight or cling to raptures, you will get stuck, and if you can accept them as they are, you will benefit. See equanimity at the end of this list, as well as the expertly written chapter 9 of a